Hi 12th students, நாம் இன்று காண இருப்பது 12th Bio Zoology. The most important 2 marks, 3 marks, 5 marks public exam centum questions. என் வீடியோவை ஸ்கிப் பண்ணாமல் கடைசி வரைக்கும் பாருங்கள், கன்ஃபார்மாக 100 மார்க்ஸ் கிடைச்சிடலாம் உங்களுக்கு. வீடியோக்குள்ளே போயிடலாமா? ஆன்சர் த ஃபாலோயிங் கொஸ்டின்ஸ், 2 மார்க்ஸ். நான் போர்ட் லெட்டரில் அண்டர்லைன் பண்ணியிருக்கிற கொஸ்டின்ஸ் மட்டும் படிச்சிடுறேன், அதோடைய ஆன்சர்ஸை பார்த்துக்கோங்க. அதர் கொஸ்டின்ஸோடைய ஆன்சர்ஸும் பார்த்துக்கோங்க. ஓகேவா? What is pathogenesis? Give 2 examples from animals. Give reasons for the following. Some organisms like honeybees are called pathogenic animals. A male honeybee has 16 chromosomes, whereas its female has 32 chromosomes. Differentiate between the following: external and internal fertilization, regeneration in lizard and planario. Explain the different kinds of syngamy in living organism. Expand the acronyms FSH, LH, HCG, HPL. Very important. இதில் ஒன்று கண்டிப்பாக வரும். Placenta is an endocrine tissue. Justify. Draw a label sketch of a spermatozoa. What is inhibin? State its functions. Describe the structure of the human ovum with a neat label diagram. அடிக்கடி கேட்குறாங்க, 5 marks question, very important, நல்லா தொலை பண்ணிக்கோங்க. Explain the various phases of the menstrual cycle. இதுவும் அடிக்கடி கேட்குறாங்க, பார்த்துக்கோங்க. நேம் த பார்ட்ஸ் அண்ட் லேபிள் இட், இதுவும் பார்த்துக்கோங்க. The following is an illustration of the sequence of ovarian events. Then answer these questions. Next one, expand the following. GIFT, ICSI, very very important. What are the strategies of implemented in India to attain total reproductive health? Differentiate foeticide and infanticide, very very important. Describe the major STDs and their symptoms. How are STDs transmitted? Write the preventive measures of STDs. இதிலிருந்து கன்ஃபார்மாக ஒரு கொஸ்டின் வரும். Amniocentesis, the fertile sex determination test is banned in our country. Is this necessary? Comment. Explain the various barriers method to control human population. Open book assessment. Healthy reproduction, legally checked birth control measures and proper family planning program are essential for the survival of mankind. Justify. Distinguish between heterogamic and homogamic sex determination system. What is criss-cross inheritance? Mention the symptoms of phenylketonuria. Mention the symptoms of Down syndrome. Explain the genetic basis of ABO blood grouping in man. How is sex determined in human beings? Give an account of genetic control of RH factor. Explain the mode of sex determination in honeybee. What are the applications of karyotyping? Very very important. Explain the inheritance of sex-linked characters in human being. Give reasons. Genetic code is universal. Very very important. Next, differentiate leading strand and lagging strand. Differentiate template strand and coding strand. 2 marks very very important. State any 3 goals of human genome project. 3 marks very very important. In E. coli 3 enzymes beta galactosidase, permase and transfetalase are produced in the presence of lactose. Explain why the enzymes are not synthesized in the absence of lactose. Distinguish between the structural gene, regulatory gene and operator gene. Very very important. HGP is the windows for treatment of various genetic disorders. Justify the statement. Why the human genome project is called mega project? இந்த DNA tRNA கன்ஃபார்மாக ஒரு கொஸ்டின் வரும், பார்த்துக்கோங்க. From the examination of the structure of DNA, what did Watson and Crick infer about the problem mechanism of DNA replication, coding capability and mutation? Why tRNA is called an adapter molecule? Next question, what are 3 structural differences between RNA and DNA? Very very important. State the anticodon required to recognize the following codons. Very very important. Next, if the coding sequence in a transcription unit is written as, இது பார்த்துக்கோங்க. Then how will you write down the sequence of mRNA? It is established that RNA is the first genetic material. Justify giving reasons. List out the major gases seems to be found in the primitive earth. Explain the 3 major categories in which fossilization occurred. Differentiate between divergent evolution and convergent evolution with 1 examples for each. Very very important. 2 marks or 3 marks like கேட்கலாம். இது list any 4 factors that can disturb the genetic equilibrium. Explain the How mutations, natural selection, and genetic drift affect Hardy-Weinberg equilibrium. How did Darwin explain fitness of organisms? Mention the major objections to Darwinism. Important. Who disproved Lamarck's theory of acquired characters and how? Explain the stabilizing, irrational, and disruptive selection with examples. How does Neanderthal man differ from the modern man in appearance? Given below are some human organs. Identify one primary and one secondary lymphoid organ. Explain its role. Liver, thymus, stomach, thyroid, tonsils. Name the explain the types of barriers which involves macrophages. What are the inference mentioned in the role? List out chemical alarm signals produced during inflammation. Explain the process of replication of retrovirus after it gains entry into the human body. Explain the structure of immunoglobulin with suitable diagram. Very very important. 5 marks. Repeated question. 4 times மேல கேட்டிருக்காங்க. தவறாம படிச்சுக்கோங்க. ஆன்சர். What is vaccine? What are its types? 2 marks. Important. A person is infected by HIV. How will you diagnose for AIDS? List the causative agent, mode of transmission and symptoms for diphtheria and typhoid. Next question. A patient was hospitalized with fever and chill. Merocytes were observed in her blood. What is your diagnosis? Write the specific name of the filarial womb that causes filariasis. Filariasis is the confirm or question varum paathukonga adidi kekranga. Write the symptoms of filariasis. 2 more questions ketirukanga. How is this disease transmitted? This is the common withdrawal symptoms of drugs and alcohol abuse. Very very important. How is milk converted into curd? Explain the process of curd formation. Very very important. Define the following terms. Confirm adilanda nalikku or question varum. Antibiotic, zymology and superbug. Write the short note on the following. Microbial fuel cells. When does antibiotic resistance develop? What is referred to as industrial alcohol? Why is it referred so? Briefly explain. Describe its preparation. Again very very important. Repeated questions. Answer paathukonga. Mention the number of premiers required in each cycle of PCR. Write the role of primers and DNA polymers in PCR. Name the source organism of the DNA polymers used in PCR. How is the application of a gene sample of interest carried out using PCR? What is genetically engineered insulin? Very very important. How was insulin obtained before the advent of rDNA technology? What were the problems encountered? Very very important. ELISA is a technique based on the principles of antigen antibody reactions. Can this technique be used in the molecular diagnosis of a genetic disorder such as nicotinuria? If a person thinks he is infected with HIV, do you unprotected sex and goes for a blood test? Do you think a test such as ELISA will help? If so, why? If not, why? Next question. Explain how ADA deficiency can be corrected. What are DNA vaccines? Very, very important. Padichukonga. Differentiate between somatic cell gene therapy and germline gene therapy. Very very important. What are stem cells? Explain its role in the field of medicine. Again very very important. One of the applications of biotechnology is gene therapy to treat a person born with hereditary disease. What does gene therapy means? Very very important. Name the hereditary disease for which the first clinical gene therapy was used. Mention the steps involved in gene therapy to treat this disease. 2 marks 3 marks la kekkalam. Idu paathukonga. PCR is a useful tool for early diagnosis of an infectious disease. Elaborate. What are the recombinant vaccines? Explains types. Very very important. Explain why cloning of Dolly, the sheep, was such a major scientific breakthrough. Very very important. Mention the advantages and disadvantages of cloning. Very very important again. Explain how recombinant insulin can be produced. Very very important again. படிச்சுக்கோங்க. நான் கொடுக்குற கொஸ்டின்ஸோடைய ஆன்சர்ஸ்லாம் படிச்சிங்கன்னா கன்ஃபார்மாக சென்டம் எடுக்கலாம். வாட் இஸ் ஹேபிடேட்? ஏற்கனவே நல்லா படிச்சிருப்பீங்கன்னு நினைக்கிறேன். இன்னொரு அடி தரவு பண்ணிக்கோங்க, ரிவைஸ் பண்ணிக்கோங்க. Define ecological niche. What is acclimatization? What is pedogenesis? What is soil permeability? Difference between erythromes and cenotomes. Very very important. Classify the aquatic biomes of Earth. What are the ways by which organisms respond to abiotic factors? Differentiate natality and mortality. Okay, very very important. Differentiate genus shaped curve. Very very important. Give an account of population regulation. Important. Give an account of the properties of soil. Very very important. Adidi kekranga. Differentiate between tundra and taiga biomes. List the adaptations seen in terrestrial animal. What are the three levels of biodiversity? Amazon forest is considered to be the lungs of the planet. Justify this statement. What is red data book? Mention its purpose. In the Amazon confirm கேக்குறாங்க பாருங்க. Compare the contrast and in situ and ex situ conservation. Very important. What are called endangered species? Why do we find a decrease in biodiversity distribution if we move from the tropic towards the poles? What are the factors that derive habitat loss? Alien species invasion is a threat to endemic species. Substantiate this statement. Important question. Mention the major threats biodiversity caused by human activities. Explain. Why is mass extinction? What is mass extinction? Very, very important. In northern states, says the zoom cultivation is a major threat to biodiversity. Substantiate the statement. List of the various causes of biodiversity losses. How can we contribute to promote biodiversity conservation? Very, very important. 5 marks. Write a note on protected areas, wildlife sanctuaries. Expand. CFC, AQI, PAN. இதில் பார்த்துக்கோங்க கன்ஃபார்ம் நாளைக்கு ஒரு 2 mark questions வரும். What is smog and how it is harmful for us? List all the ways that you generate at home, school or during your trips to other places. Could you very easily reduce the generation of these waste, which would be difficult or rather impossible to reduce? 5 mark question. நாளைக்கு கேட்க வாய்ப்பு இருக்குது பார்த்துக்கோங்க. Write on the notes on the following. Eutrophication, algal bloom. Discuss briefly the following. Catalytic converter, echoes and toilets. இதிலிருந்து கன்ஃபார்மாக ஒரு கொஸ்டின் வரும். What are the some solution to toxic dumping in our oceans? What are the effects of noise pollution? நெக்ஸ்ட்டு நான் இப்போ கொடுத்துருக்குறது எல்லாம் உங்களுடைய ப்ரீவியஸ் இயர் எக்ஸாம்ஸில் புக் இன்சைட்லேருந்து கொடுத்துருக்க கொஸ்டின்ஸ் செப்பரேட்டாக கொடுத்துருக்கேன். ஈஸியாக 2 marks 3 marks 5 marks இதுலேருந்து வரத்துக்கு நிறைய வாய்ப்புகள் இருக்குது. இந்த கொஸ்டின்ஸோடைய ஆன்சர்ஸு புக் இன்சைட் கொஸ்டின்ஸ் நல்லா பார்த்துக்கோங்க. Differentiate complete pathogenesis from incomplete pathogenesis. State any 2 silent features of human genome process. What are human homologous organ? Give an example. What is pre-pro-insulin? Define oligopotency with an example. What is mean by Samir? Write the risk factors for cervical cancer. Very, very important. What are the 3 layers of uterine wall? What are called as nonsense codons in genetic code? What is surrogacy? What is amniocentesis? Write the central dogma of protein synthesis. What is co-extinction? What is referred to as biomagnification? What are the characteristics of an ideal contraceptive? What is padiogamy? Give example. Very, very important. Draw and label the structure of human womb. Very, very important. Explain the mode of sex determination in honeybees. Very, very important. Which test is highly sensitive and can detect antigens in the range of nanogram? The added advantage is process. Write a short note on coprolites. Recently, EVs created dangerous effects in the environment. How will you find solution to avoid these effects due to this waste? Write the difference between R selected and K selected spices. Which event piece your help in RNA replication? Write in brief about the chemical reaction of that process. Biodiversity. Name any 4 human viral diseases. Very, very important. பார்த்துக்கோங்க. What is mean by regeneration? Give example. What is regeneration? Explain its types. Meaning பார்த்துக்கோங்க and example ஒன்று பார்த்துக்கோங்க, typesம் பார்த்துக்கோங்க. What is single cell protein? Write its uses. Important question. What are the multipotent cells involved in replenished adult tissue? What is this rich source for it? Describe the structure of human sperm with a neat label diagram. Autoimmune diseases, misdirected immunity response. Justify. In the XY chromosomal system of sex determination, males have only one X chromosome, whereas females have 2. How does the organism compensate for this dosage difference between the sexes? Write the silent features of mutation theory. Very, very important. பார்த்துக்கோங்க. List out any 5 causes of biodiversity losses. If a marriage occurs between normal man XHY minus and heterogeneous amoplanians XHS, what would be the result of F1 and F2? Draw flow chart. What are called secretors? Differentiate prebiotic, probiotics. Very, very important. படிச்சுக்கோங்க 3 marksல 5 marksல 5 mark questions இப்போ பார்த்துடலாம். Give a semantic representation of gametogenesis in humans. இது inside questions. Differentiate active immunity from passive immunity. What is the technique used for settling parental dispute? What are the steps involved in this technique? What are Hardy Wing's assumption on evolution. Explain them. Classify the drugs on the basis of their effects. Explain the structure of RNA, which plays a vital role in protein synthesis by transforming amino acids with diagram. List out the human activities causing biodiversity losses. Write the silent features of human genome projects. Write an essay on radioactive waste management. Explain the process of fertilization and prevention of polyspermy in human. Explain the classical model of the lac operon proposed by the Jacob and Monod. If a marriage between color-blind man and normal vision woman, write the resultant of F1 and F2 generation. Very important. This question answer parunga. Draw the flowchart of the cross. Write the name of the inexistence, the ratio of F2 generation, what is mean by assisted reproductive technology. Explain the following: intrauterine insemination, surrogacy. இது படிச்சுக்கோங்க, இது கன்ஃபார்மாக இது கொஸ்டின் ஆன்சர் வரும். தேங்க்யூ ஃபார் வாட்சிங் மை ஃபுல் வீடியோ. என் வீடியோவை சப்ஸ்கிரைப் பண்ணுங்கள், ஷேர் பண்ணுங்கள், கமெண்ட் பண்ணுங்கள். உங்களுடைய ஃப்ரெண்ட்ஸ் கிளாஸ்மேட்ஸுக்கு மறக்காமல் ஷேர் பண்ணுங்கள். அப்போ தான் நான் போடக்கூடிய வீடியோஸ் உங்களால் அடிக்கடி பார்த்து நல்ல மார்க் எடுக்க முடியும். நாளைக்கு எக்ஸாம் எழுதிட்டு வந்துட்டு உங்களுடைய கமெண்ட்டை போடுங்க யூடியூப்பில். தேங்க்யூ ஃபார் வாட்சிங்.